So we've got this massive stack of source material in front of us today, and it really flips the script on how you might perceive Italy.
It really does.
Forget the usual postcard image for a second. Roman ruins, cypress trees in Tuscany. We're looking at a modern country that's dealing with some really big shifts.
Absolutely. High mobility,
Hmm.
social change, and it's finding its best quality of life in places you might not expect at all.
That's the perfect way to put it.
If you only look at Italy through its history, which is incredible, of course, you miss the internal tensions that are shaping its future right now.
Right.
Our sources point to a nation with this kind of dual existence. You've got significant immigration, that lingering north-south divide, sure, but there's also this bedrock of social innovation and real resilience.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to take you on a shortcut to what's really happening in modern Italy. We're going to unpack, I think, three big areas.
Yeah, three core themes. First up, the cities. The surprising rankings and some really forward-thinking urban solutions.
From walkability to, and I love this, tiny electric cars.
Exactly. Then second, we'll get into the strength of its social fabric. We're talking unique social enterprises, community anchors.
And finally, we'll look at identity. How global migration and our new digital lives are changing everything.
So let's start with well-being, because the data immediately challenges all our assumptions about where the best place to live actually is.
It really does. When you think best place to live in Italy, your mind probably jumps to the big global centers, right? Milan, maybe Florence.
Places you associate with high culture, big salary.
Exactly. But the data shows this profound paradox. The most satisfying balance of life and work is actually found in these mid-sized cities.
They just dominate the rankings. Bologna, up in Emilia-Romagna, it hits what the researchers call the ideal balance between quality of life and economic productivity.
And that's not just a fluke.
Not at all. It's followed closely by cities like Verona and Bergamo. And what's really fascinating is that their success isn't really driven by employment rates. That's still Milan's game.
So what is it then?
It's rooted in the factors that make daily life better. High safety levels, efficient public services, and really strong environmental sustainability scores. Think green spaces, clean public transport.
So people are almost consciously rejecting that mega hub life, high salary, high stress, for something more manageable.
Precisely. The famous cities, they falter because of this non-economic drag. Milan is a leader in innovation and culture, absolutely. But it's seen as too expensive, just too hard to live in.
And what about the South?
Well, when you look south, the big cities like Naples, Rome, Palermo, they have incredible hospitality and community life, but they struggle a lot.
And what's dragging them down specifically?
The researchers looked at 15 key drivers for a city's reputation. For the big southern hubs, the factors that fell below acceptable levels were, well, persistent issues with health and public safety, urban cleanliness, that's a huge issue down south, and just the accessibility of infrastructure.
So even if the social life is great, if you can't rely on the basics...
The whole quality of life just plummets.
Okay, that completely flips our assumptions. So if these mid-sized cities are perfecting the wear of Italian life, let's talk about the how people are actually moving around.
And that takes us to walkability, where Italian cities are, kind of quietly, setting global standards. Milan, for instance, ranks first in the world for walkability.
First globally.
First globally for all cities with over 500,000 residents. And that's not just some nice amenity. It's a core measure of urban efficiency.
I mean, that speaks volumes about the advantage of that old European city model, right? These centers were built before cars took over. They're compact by design.
They are. In Milan, the average person only needs 6 minutes on foot to reach essential services.
6 minutes for schools, hospitals, supermarkets.
Everything. And it means that 98% of the population lives in what we now call a 15-minute neighborhood.
Which is so important. It connects urban planning directly to public health, to social connection, because people are just out on the street more.
Exactly. And it's not just Milan. Italy does really well across the board. Turin is third globally at just over 7 minutes.
And Genoa is in the top 10 too, right? Which is amazing given how hilly it is.
Ninth at about 8 minutes. It just shows that smart planning can overcome even tough geography. The lesson for urban planners everywhere is pretty clear. Density and distributed services are key.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. Even with great walkability, traffic is still a nightmare in those dense centers, and the solution seems to be looking to the past to find the future.
The microcar comeback. It's a perfect example of mobility tailored to the environment.
They have the quadricycle.
That's the one. Sales have been climbing fast since 2023, and the new models are almost all electric, designed for low-impact city driving.
We're talking about these tiny vehicles, right? Under 350 kilos, top speed of maybe 28 miles per hour.
And crucially, you can drive them from age 14 with a simplified license.
That's a game changer for teens. It gives them independence where maybe a scooter feels unsafe or transit is inconvenient.
It is. And they're cheap to insure, easy to park. The Fiat Topolino is the big favorite, but it's not just for kids. Businesses are using them for last-mile deliveries, especially with all the zero-emission zones.
It's mobility shrinking to fit the city. I love that.
Yeah.
So if the mid-sized city is perfecting the physical space, we should probably shift to what gives that life its meaning, the social fabric.
Let's do it. And we can start with an incredible story, Made in Carcere.
Which means made in prison.
Exactly.
Right.
It was founded by Luciana Del Don, and her philosophy is about so much more than just profit.
Her motto is just so powerful. We don't sell products, we sell life projects.
It defines everything. The project employs incarcerated women from 22 to 75 years old, and they use discarded surplus fabric, so it's upcycling, to create these beautiful accessories.
And the impact is
It
it's
counts.
measurable, right?
Oh, it's profound. The project cuts recidivism by nearly 90%. These women re-enter society with skills, with dignity. It fundamentally changes their path.
And Luciana Del Don, she actually came up with her own metric for this, didn't she?
She did. She calls it BIL Benessere Internal Lordo, or gross internal well-being.
As a direct counterpoint to GDP.
It's a philosophical statement. It argues that real societal wealth comes from inclusion, from the well-being of your citizens. Rehabilitation over raw economic output.
And that idea is spreading. I saw they have organic bakeries in juvenile prisons now, too.
A certified one in Bari, yeah.
Yeah.
It proves social change can be fiscally viable.
That focus on BIL connects so perfectly to Italy's broader culture of, well, social well-being, especially with volunteering. Modena was just named Italy's capital of volunteering for 2026.
Yep, taking over from Palermo. And Modena's motto for it is Avia Pervia, which means make the inaccessible accessible.
That really captures the spirit.
It does. I mean, the province has over 1,700 associations. You're looking at an estimated 65,000 residents involved in long-term volunteer work.
It's an enormous percentage of the population just dedicating their time.
It is. And their focus for 2026 is going to be on creating these sustainable models, socially, environmentally, economically.
Yeah.
It shows how these grassroots efforts are the real engines of social cohesion.
And while volunteers are organizing festivals, other quiet cultural hubs are sustaining communities. We're talking about, of all things, the local library.
They are not the dusty, silent places you remember. These multifunctional libraries are becoming vital social anchors, especially in rural areas that might lack other services.
Right? They're combining reading rooms with co-working spaces, digital literacy training.
And they're actively trying to close that digital divide. They offer access to knowledge and technology to everyone, regardless of their income. They're becoming these flexible civic centers.
So pulling back, we're seeing these efficient, rewarding cities combined with a really strong, intentional social fabric.
Let's transition now to how all this local life connects with Italy's identity in a more globalized world.
Which brings us to the emotional side of being Italian, which is so tied to movement and migration. So what does this all mean for family ties? I found this wonderful detail in the sources about the lifeline in a box.
Ah, the care package.
Yeah, this box, it's about 40 pounds, costs maybe 15 euros to ship, and it travels from the South Puglia, Sicily, up to students in northern cities like Turin.
It's a total cultural rite of passage. A student thesis author, Mattia, he put it perfectly. He said, the package is home itself traveling north.
It's not just snacks, is it? It's homemade sauces, olive oil, special cheeses, things you can't get up there.
They're ambassadors of pride, of belonging, and also a symbol of family worry.
Right, if the student doesn't sound excited about the box, the parents immediately think something is wrong.
Are you eating enough? Are you okay? It's all packed in there with the caciocavallo cheese, and it highlights the reality of migration. Over 6.38 million Italians are registered abroad. That's almost 11% of the population.
And it's not just from the South anymore. Even wealthy northern regions are seeing people leave looking for opportunities elsewhere.
So you have this real physical distance, this emotional weight. And then you have to layer on the digital distance and a serious awareness gap.
Let's talk about that. The stats are huge. 90% of Italians are online every day. Nearly half are connected for 4 hours or more.
Highly engaged. But their level of concern is also sky high. 4 in 5 are worried about harmful content, hate speech, fake news, you name it.
And that anxiety contrasts so sharply with this critical knowledge gap.
This is a major finding. Only 7% of Italians have a strong awareness of how recommendation algorithms actually work.
Wait, only 7%?
7%. That means 93% of the population is basically in the back seat of their own digital life, with no idea where the driver's taking them. It's lowest among seniors, of course.
That's a staggering statistic, and it explains so much about that high level of anxiety.
It really does. And this digital uncertainty is mirrored by, economic uncertainty.
Let's connect this to the Italian wallet and what's on the plate. We're seeing this big shift. 42% of Italians are prioritizing saving.
And over half of all household spending is now on the absolute essentials. Housing, utilities, food. The budget is getting tighter.
So restaurant spending is down, grocery shopping is up, more home cooking.
Right. But what's fascinating is how people are shopping. They're scrutinizing labels, really prioritizing health and ethical production.
And the consumer profile itself is changing. The innovators, people mixing old and new recipes, consciously curating what they eat, are a growing group.
And that innovation is leading to some surprising comebacks. Rice consumption, for example, is up almost 7%. Over half of Italians eat it weekly at home.
Which makes sense. It's healthy, it's convenient, and it works for a traditional risotto, but also for all the new ethnic infusion dishes people are making at home.
Exactly.
So finally, let's connect this picture of internal life to Italy's global standing.
Okay. So despite all these internal challenges, the Italian passport is the third most powerful in the world. Visa-free access to 189 countries.
Which reflects huge international trust and mobility. But then you contrast that with the extreme wealth disparity you see in the real estate market.
Ordofino. Just an astronomical number. The highest vacation home prices in the country, hitting almost €23,000 per square meter.
And who's buying?
It's driven by international cash buyers. They're a bit older, average age 56, and they're focused on those trophy locations, Liguria, Tuscany, Lake Como. It's a super prime market that's completely disconnected from the national population who are, trying to save on groceries.
So pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway? Italy is defined by this deep tension, isn't it? Between saving and conscious spending, between global mobility, the powerful passport, the emigration, and this deeply rooted local life.
And it's the power of that community connection that provides the resilience. You see it perfectly in the Village Sagri, the small-town food festivals.
Ah, yes, moments where tradition just refuses to be digitized.
Totally. You don't make a reservation, you just find a spot on a long wooden bench next to a stranger. There's community bingo, there's Lucio music.
And the smell of grilled sausage everywhere.
They're living proof of a social fabric that resists all that digital detachment, built one shared meal at a time. The care package is home traveling north. The Village Festival is tradition doubling down on its local roots.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. How are essential services redefining what good living really means in a world that's both more mobile and more virtual than ever? Whether it's a library teaching digital skills in a small town, a walkable city core, or just a box of olive oil crossing the country, the answer seems to be rooted in proximity and in real, intentional physical connection.